So this right here might just look like an empty tube, but if we run over to the shop with a very trusty clerk right there with an eye patch, and buy a hydrogen rod, then we can add it as fuel, and it starts to collide the particles together, which makes us money. Because what is profit without the risk of blowing up? Although we can also just buy a whole bunch of these because they're free, which is gonna be good for us because we need a lot of money here. But sadly now the reactor is full, so we're just gonna be adding the fuel rods over and over and over again, which is so far giving us $250. But if we just work our way up to $500, then we can upgrade to hold more max fuel, so we don't have to hold the rods as long. But also we go right back over to the shop, and with just $100, we can buy a lithium rod that earns even more money. Hopefully it lasts longer too, because this hydrogen goes by super quick. So the hydrogen earns $10 per collision here, and the lithium earns $30. That's much better. So we can just go right back to the store and buy even more rods sooner, and thankfully they stock a lot of them at once, because this also doesn't last very long. But with $500 more, we can increase the fire rate to once per second. Ooh, which actually boosted the things over here, which would be really cool to see if, you know, there was things going on. Well, we do have $200 even, so we can buy a rod of carbon, and also just walk by our gigantic face as we go to our reactor. You would look into those eyes and subscribe, wouldn't you? Well, the carbon gives us $288 total, so it's a bit of an improvement, but not much. I feel like we can do better by just getting as many rods as possible, and then just stocking them all, because running back and forth to buy one rod at a time is kind of annoying. Also, the whole concept behind these things is just insane. Like, oh, we're gonna throw particles at each other and hopefully they blow up just a little bit. Not enough to, you know, destroy everything that we're working towards. Just, you know, just a little bit. It can have a little explosion as a treat. But at least it gives us a very good treat of hundreds of dollars. A nice amount, you might say. And we actually have enough to upgrade the multiplier now for 1.25 more. Oh, and it made the tank bigger. But now, of course, we are all out of fuel rods, and those two are about to go away pretty quickly. But let's see how much money we end up with, so we could probably buy more of the better ones. And sure enough, we can buy one of the rods, or just 2 of the carbon. Let's go 2 of the carbon. So we can load these in, get a little bit better money out of it. And also there's an Obby back here. What is this about? Like, why? Claim 500 coins? Oh, sure. So we can either smash particles together to get coins, or just claim 500 coins over there, but there's also 2,500 coins over there. I feel like we're good enough at Obbies that we can do this. Just gotta, jump across these things individually like we're some sort of, Kung Fu Panda or something. Just get the last one there, perfect. Should be pretty easy from here, as long as we can make these tiny jumps. No! Get this one, get the platform, made it. 2,500 coins, yes. Now we can get a good old boost on these fuel rods with $3,285. So why don't we go ahead and buy one of these chromium rods and then 2 of these sodium ones, all of which should earn us thousands of dollars. Let's load the sodium first, and they do last a little bit longer too. So now we're earning some really good money here. Just had to parkour a little bit. Why can't scientists do better science things by parkouring? Parkour! We can also save fuel. I think this means the rods last longer. And we can buy once of that and then another max fuel so we can hold up to 8 rods at once. But of course, we're only making enough to buy 1 rod at a time unless we go into one of these numbers down here. I think more of the sodium ones are gonna be more worth our money, because all of those earnings together should add up to quite a bit more money. And the sodium rods look like they're sticking around the same amount of time, so we probably have to buy a few of these save fuel upgrades to even see the difference. Also, we could just like hang around the corner here like, excuse me, just sneaking past ya. And what does it take to build a second reactor over here? 2,500? We could do that right now, honestly. Sure, even more questionable reactions. And then we just get the multiplier going early, so we can just go back to the store, buy maybe a whole bunch of carbon rods, so we can load up 8 of them over here by spinning in a circle, and then fill up this one here, using all of them effectively. There we go, now we're boosting the money gain. And we'll boost the fire rate too on this one, and then maybe saving the fuel there too. So now both reactors are pretty much at the same level, except for how many rods they can hold, which now we can buy some potassium rods, and it doesn't really matter which one we put these in, but we can just load those in there, quickly run back to the store because we are getting even more money here, and then just buy even more potassium. And sure, we'll just keep buying the hydrogen ones because they're free. And I think the hydrogen rods can go over here, just so the second reactor can do something. And maybe we load the rest of them in here because we have those and our potassium just ran out. Like just a rod of pure potassium. If we put a banana in there, would that get the same effect? But also we can buy a few of these chromium rods now that we're earning money from both reactors. Come on, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. There we go, 3 chromium rods, which are very shiny, by the way. And those last for 11 shots. So the save fuel over here really is helping, but it also scales like crazy. We need 25,000 upgrade again. Ooh, at least we can upgrade the fire rate for 1.5 every second. So we just go through these rods even faster, yay. But now we're up to $12,000. Let's keep buying the chromium rods because those seem to be doing the best since we can just hold so many of them at once. And the hydrogen just gets slapped over here because slow trickles of money are still money. And then just fill in the blanks over here because we're just waiting for the money to pile up to see what we can afford next. Oh my goodness, look at that reactor over there. That guy's still just one of them, but look at how insane that is. Ooh, but now we can save even more fuel. 10% more fuel, that's definitely gonna be better. So these hydrogen rods might last 1 shot longer, or maybe not, but definitely the chromium should. So it lasts for 12 shots, yeah. But then it quickly goes silent. And we're just shy of affording the cobalt one, but also Krypton. Don't tell Superman about this place. We're putting kryptonite in these reactors. But it is good that we earn more money with these rods than it takes to buy them. So now we can actually afford 2 cobalt rods. This one doesn't have the save fuel bonus. We'll just keep loading them up over here since it actually is showing results. And now we can afford 3 cobalt rods. Actually 4. And now the explosions are pretty in blue. Dabba-dee-da-doo. Just like a reactor. Except for the tank, but I think that's what this multiplier upgrade here is for. Yeah, look at how large that is. And we're getting a better multiplier on the collisions too. And the cobalt earns almost double, so I think that we can just keep doubling how many cobalt rods we can buy. But now the reactors went cold. But sure enough, we have 8 cobalt rods here. You've heard of green energy, but what about blue energy? And now look at how much money we're making. We're over $50,000 now. Is it worth upgrading to the Krypton rods? We can't buy as many of those. I think just buying all the cobalt ones that we can until they're out of stock, but he's also about to restock. This guy restocks pretty quickly, I like it. Not really gonna question where he gets it from, but we can also load these into the second reactor and the money flows in even stronger, and we just make sure to save that fuel, get the multiplier up to snuff. So now we have 2 reactors firing cobalt on all cylinders, which I guess is just 1. There's 1 cylinder here, or 2. We got a V2 reactor here. Can you imagine if cars got powerful enough to just work on particle collisions? Isn't that technically, well, it's not really what they do. But if they did, just casually drive a nuke down the street, like Fallout. But also, we're buying several Krypton rods at a time. We have 8 Krypton rods here. We can fuel up this reactor full of Krypton now, which is somehow looking like a bottle of water. Do not drink the spicy water. Instead, just throw the spicy water. I don't even know what this is supposed to be, but it's all in this reactor here, which is earning us hundreds of thousands of dollars again. I don't know where this guy gets this stuff. It's better not to ask questions. And hopefully we can buy a lot of his stock of Krypton rods. Or at least 8 more of them so we can load them in the second reactor here. And we just keep everything going at once. Oh, this money rate is beautiful. Can we do this with a third reactor? It takes 500,000 to buy this. Oh, yikes. Because that's also enough to upgrade the multiplier, but we can also upgrade the fire rate. Ooh, that might be good. Or more max fuel. We'll do the fire rate, $2 per second. Oh, now we're getting to the green parts, which is letting us buy the Krypton rods even quicker. So we have enough rods to fuel both reactors again. This is beautiful. And they both fire for like 18 shots. So now we can boost your fire rate, which earns us double money, but it requires 500,000. Well, we do have 500,000, so I think now's a good time to rebirth, which brings us all the way back down to the sad, boring reactor and 0 money, which means that we're going back to colliding water at a very slow pace. But now we're earning $20 per one of these. So we can very quickly buy the upgrade for faster collision rates, which in turn will also let us buy some better rods sooner, using all the money that we have. But at least now we have 2 carbon rods, which earn way more money, Sadly, they don't last as long. But also, we have so many rods in hand that we might as well just upgrade the storage. And oh wow, that rebirth cost really jumped up. $1 billion for the next one? Let's get more multiplier while we're on this one. So we can buy 3 carbon rods there onto a 4th. But we can actually buy 4 of these sodium rods. Just, you know, throwing some salt around, maybe shoot some flies out of the air with it. Which, what a weird concept for, like, pest control, is just, oh, you got flies in your room? Have you considered throwing salt at it? Oh my goodness, look at that guy that showed up. Or is that the same guy? I haven't been keeping track, but those are looking very colorful. It's like if Willy Wonka made a particle reactor. Well, in any case, we can buy a couple of chromium cores now. So now our money rate is right back to where it used to be. Although I definitely want to get the safe fuel upgrade as soon as possible, since we are getting to these very spicy fuel rods that fire more than 10 times. And thankfully, we can still buy, almost 3 chromium cores, or rods, whatever these are. But we honestly might as well just stay here until we get more. And by more, I mean buy all of them as possible, which puts us up to 8. So we can actually afford more max fuel here and get all of them firing at once. You know, just 1 rod at a time at once. And then we get better multipliers, which is also adding into the rebirth multiplier. So it's looking really good. We're at a good enough point where you can start to build the second reactor and just get this boosted up, but not before we buy some more fuel rods, such as the cobalt rods. Get those firing in there while we continue boosting this reactor where I want it to be, which once you get the first reactor going, the second one upgrades really quickly. So now we can start to buy a whole bunch of cobalt rods and fill it into the second reactor. So for a very short amount of time, we can have both reactors firing at once, as this one is starting to run out of fuel, but it is still going for a good while yet. And we have over $100,000 again. So the best rod that we can afford right now is these yttrium. Yttrium? Yttrium? We can buy 2 of those though, as this one is about to run out. Okay, I made a banana joke about the potassium, but this one actually looks just like a slice of banana. Am I getting scammed here? Like, oh yeah, this stuff is nuclear and it's just banana. Banana. But those last for quite a few shots on their own. And that quickly gets us to 500,000. These fire for 24 shots. Put a better multiplier in there. Oh, that's the green tank. That's what I like to see. I also like that this guy always has like double digits of these rods available at once, until we get to the even better stuff like uranium, plutonium, and then einsteinium, which sounds weird, but I know enough about chemistry that I know that that's real. And it's just like, we ran out of names, so here's people. But we're actually nearing $1 million. We need more of these rods. And then we're starting to run out of money, so here's a couple of Krypton rods, as our reactors are starting to look like they're made out of kryptonite. But at least this gives something for our second reactor to do. And then we just boost the fire rate even more for 2 shots every second. And just like that, we are at $1 million. Yes.
$1 million.
Is that enough for 1 rod? No, but it's enough for 2 zirconium rods. Might as well put that in this one, even though the multiplier isn't as good, but now it's good. So we're very quickly gonna just double our millions here. Plus we got 15% more fuel, which doesn't really look like it because this is still firing 24, but we're getting there because we're up to $5 million here. And 3.2 of that is enough for silver, which earns 4.3 million. Oh, this is getting insane. Why don't we just load that into our big reactor here, the one that actually is doing good. We actually can afford a 3rd reactor because this only costs 500,000. Might as well make a bit of investment, get this built up, and then I guess get this one to match. But this one is only needing that, and now it's all green. And then we quickly, you know, gotta buy fuel rods to fuel this thing, so more bananas. So we can load this one up with 12 rods, and then just have them going over here as well. Upgrade this one over here for 6 rods, and now they can all go into here. Oh, and I guess they can save some fuel too. A lot of it, and have better multipliers. Now we have 3 green reactors. Not entirely green, but all the collision parts are green. So green, they can just be whatever I want them to be. Oh, also we're up to 42 million. I don't know if you noticed. So that means a lot more silver rods. Come on, just a little bit more. I can buy the last one. There it is. 14 silver rods here, and this one is still going crazy on the bananas. But these other ones are starting to run low, so we can fuel those up, and just fuel this one up as well. Oh yes, the money is really starting to roll in now. There's one more spot for a reactor, And that costs 250 million, but we're actually getting there pretty quick. And you know, just save more fuel here and more maximum fuel there, and then more maximum fuel over here, so all of the reactors are at the same level. But this guy is currently out of silver, and I'm too impatient to wait 20 seconds, so let's just buy all the zirconium rods that we can, and then just keep these things topped up. Ooh, and we can get a ×3 multiplier here now that we have over 45 million money. And now it's starting to turn, it's like a reddish purple. Probably something with a really weird name like chartreuse or heliotrope. I know that's a color, which is weird, but it's mostly red coated. Ooh, we can afford some xenon rods. I think that's worth getting into, especially because we can very quickly buy 3 of them, like so. But also this reactor here can hold 16 fuel rods in a very cool arrangement, by the way. But it's also taking a while to get through 40 charges of silver and onto better things. So let's upgrade the fire rate here for 2.5 every second. Oh, and the next couple of upgrades cost billions. This is 1,000, million, billion. This costs 1 trillion. Okay, and that's 5 trillion, I think. So we need to start colliding much better rods. So let's buy a few of these xenons and load them into other reactors that can fire at the same time. Like this one went quiet. Load you in there for 62 charges at a time. Might as well get the ×3 here as soon as possible. And let's get it here so we can just go back and buy more since this guy just restocked, I think. But either way, all 3 of our reactors can fire xenon rods. It is also kind of insane just how much money this makes, because we're up to 500 million now. Oh wait, I think we have enough to buy, yeah, we have enough to buy the 4th reactor here. Sweet, even more crazy collision stuff going on. Stretch this to just a little old intern. Also, I don't think I meant to buy that for that one. I should have bought that for this one, but I can still buy it for this one because 200 million is flowing in like crazy. And the guy just restocked, so that's even more xenon rods. So we can get this reactor firing right away and bringing in very good money. And here, let's just buy a quick save fuel upgrade there and a fire rate there. Now we're starting to look like that other guy over there. So another guy can join and be like, whoa, look at that guy's reactors. Almost there, almost there. Yes, $1 billion, which actually is enough to rebirth. Oh, that would hurt. Just as we got enough to reasonably buy a good amount of gold, and then just fire that, which this one looks like it's about to be ready for, but also looks like a shiny banana. At least we get back to $1 billion pretty quickly, and it still costs trillions to buy all of these upgrades, so maybe the rebirth here for 4 times money is gonna be worth it. Oh, that hurts. Well, at least the hydrogen can give us $40 per collision here, so we get the fire rate to 1 second, hold more fuel rods, so I can very quickly get rid of the last of this hydrogen. And just on the hydrogen alone, we actually got to $1,000. That's crazy. And I have to buy 3 sodium rods. So we load all of those in there. And then pretty soon we can buy the multiplier. Actually really quickly, because these are earning $400 per shot. Definitely need to save fuel at that rate. So in no time at all, we can buy a couple charges of potassium. Back to the bananas? This doesn't look like potassium. Or I'm just confusing with the other one that actually does look like a banana. But even better, we can start to buy cobalt regularly, which has a much better shade of blue going on, if I'm gonna be honest. And then get another multiplier really quickly. More fuel rods, sure, save on more fuel. Back to blue. So now we go back to Krypton, since this one is still going through the rods pretty quickly, but now we're starting to earn tens of thousands and quickly hundreds of thousands. So we get you to 2 per second and probably start building the 2nd reactor so we can get this up to there as well. Even more Krypton, and the money can roll even stronger, especially with a multiplier and another multiplier over here. Now we can start to reliably buy some of the yttrium ones. This is the banana. It's like if you put Donkey Kong in charge of a power plant. But now the money's flowing so fast, we can buy even more of these. That is insane. All of them, in fact. All 17 of them. So we get that one full, we get this one full. We're at $1 million already, but we can build a 3rd reactor, so the flow is even stronger. So now we buy a whole bunch of zirconium rods until they're out of stock, and then we just keep boosting this reactor even further because I want to see what's past the red level. As soon as we're, you know, reliably making trillions of dollars, which thankfully this guy restocks quickly enough that we can just buy all of them again, and then load up on this one because it can still hold a lot of rods, and this one almost can, but we can just fill it up like this and put one more in there, and then start to boosted where we can hold 16 rods again. But of course the zirconium still isn't there, so we will just buy a whole bunch of silver. And thankfully the shop restocks just as I buy all the silver, so I can buy all the silver again. And then we just keep fueling up all the reactors. Unfortunately, they still have some zirconium to go through before we start earning real money. And then when we can buy a whole bunch of xenon rods at once, we can start to earn money for real. But maybe it's also worth buying this reactor here as soon as possible, which I thought was 25, not 250 before. It's been like 2 minutes, okay? I can forget things. But let's boost the multiplier here. Just load these up here because this is gonna be our breadwinner of a reactor here. And then, you know, just make it shoot faster so we can get through these rods sooner too. But now all the reactors are at silver, so these upgrades are not very far away anymore. Still costs 200 million to get the save fuel upgrade here, but thankfully the money's flowing well enough where we can reliably buy xenon rods. Just getting a whole bunch of crazy chemicals here, and we haven't even seen lead yet, but now all the xenon rods are out of stock. Ooh, and this one's about to run out of silver, so let's just put a few in there, but make sure this one is topped up on xenon rods. And now we can get save fuel. Yes, a full red reactor. Again, and this one is basically one step away from that, but now this one is burning xenon, yes. I guess not really burning, it's breaking it into tiny little pieces and throwing them at each other. And then this reactor is about to be ready for xenon, so we just make sure you're upgraded a whole bunch. So now we actually have 3 red reactors. The 4th one, I guess we can do just as soon as we get it upgraded to match the others, which looks really weird to have beginner components and then super leveled components like this next to each other. Oh, that's so weird, but we very quickly got that one. And then we can load this one with gold, since it's just available right away. And that very quickly gets us earning billions, which means we can buy a few of these gold rods at once. A few golden rods. Might as well keep this one chalked up, or stocked up on gold. There's no chalk here, but we might have gone overboard with the xenon here. There's a lot to go through before it starts colliding gold. Also, you would think colliding carbon together at super high speeds would just make diamonds quicker, but instead it's just releasing energy. Science is weird, I just like to make funny sparks. But now we actually can afford lead. Not that there's anywhere that's ready to, you know, start throwing lead around, but it's not even throwing lead in the shooty sense. It's, well, I guess it kind of is. Just shooting lead at each other. It made sense when I started, trust me. But this one back here is down to 1 gold bar, which by the way lasts for 90 shots. So we can load that up with some lead. This one's still working through all that xenon. We need even more reactors shooting lead, which this one is down to 2 gold cores or rods, so that can work. This one is about to run out of xenon. This one is still working through a lot of it, but I guess a lead there can wait its turn. Ooh, but now this one is shooting lead. Now the billions can start to pour in because 1 lead rod earns 4.8 billion, and I think that's before the multipliers. And since we can just buy 4 at a time, we will go ahead and put 1 in each of these. So now we get to $100 billion, which is enough to buy 1 bismuth rod. And that's the last one before we get to the shiny stuff, which it doesn't even tell you how much it makes. But we can get 1 of these so far. It's just a little bit of time before we can get the second one. And this also doesn't stock very much either. Well, we can get 2 of them. This one is looking just very shiny and purple. So we can match the reactor here. We can get 1 in there, another one, maybe over here because there isn't very many. And then in no time at all, we can buy the 3rd bismuth rod, which I feel like the shop's gonna restock before we can buy all of these, which is not a bad thing, since we need to keep these things stocked up as much as possible. But now 3 of them are loaded with bismuth, and this one, we'll get there eventually. It's still working through the gold. We really stocked this one up. So we just get 2 more bismuth rods. We're almost to the shiny stuff. But these rods also last for a really long time, so it's good that we're getting so much money from them, but dang it, I want even better stuff already. Ooh, but now this one is firing bismuth, which lasts for 200 shots? Oh, that is insane. We are very quickly moving through the hundreds of billions. The lead is still working on this one, but this one is about to be bismuth again, or as well, we're almost to $1 trillion. And there it is, $1 trillion, yes, as I go to buy the last of the bismuth rods, because that one is, okay, it's at 2. We can get 2 rods loaded up in here, and then 2 in here, and this one started first, so you get the last one. Oh, but now this first reactor has so much lead to go through, but we can upgrade the reactors even more now. So the fire rate can go to 4 per second. Ooh, very shiny purple. And we still still have a trillion to upgrade how many fuel rods it can hold, which is 20 now. This is getting insane, but these other ones need 5. Oh wait, this one needs 5 trillion. This one needs 50 trillion. And this one just got even larger, insane numbers. Oh gosh, how many commas is that? That's 5? It's like one off from, I don't even know how to count those. 1,000, million, billion, trillion, 500 quadrillion to get even more max fuel. And I think this one's 1 quadrillion. But if this keeps up, oh no, the Radon went out of stock. And so did the uranium. These are the ones that do flip back and forth between being in stock. So maybe it'll go restock in 3, 2, 1, and yes! We can buy a Radon rod. No idea how much it's worth, but now we have a very glowy, spicy thing that I probably shouldn't be holding so freely like this. But this one's down to the last Bismuth rod, so we could actually start shooting in that one. This one's gonna go sooner, and I want the spicy energy sooner. And there's 3 more available in stock. So now we can work on getting multiple reactors firing radon, including the first one. Gotta quickly get them before they go away, but that also means that these reactors need to be done firing bismuth sooner, which that one is now. So now it's firing radon. Ooh, and we get a funny, cool effect looking at that guy's reactors, all firing at the same time. That is a little trippy, I'm not gonna lie. Ooh, but now we can upgrade this multiplier here for 4 times as much, and it's square now. Oh, they're about to go out of stock again, but by the last 2, oh, they're back in stock. We are so back. Really want this uranium, but that costs $188 trillion. But we need to get the money flowing even more so, which means upgrading the rest of these before loading them with radon. Oh, and look at how quickly we're moving through the trillions now that they're all going. Wow. And now we get the save fuel here. So now we get just a giant collider that is square and purple. So it's really too bad that there isn't very many of these in stock at all times. But we can get each of these filled up with 2 radon rods at once. And then we just quickly wait for them to come back in stock again. But also uranium is right here. And we're about to be able to afford it. I don't even know how much these are making, but we can earn so much with a uranium rod. Oh yeah, now we're talking. Big, shiny, glowy stuff. It also is gonna be a little bit of time before we even see this being fired in there. But we can load it in there and at least it looks cool. And you know what? The rest of these can also get to the purple level, just like the first one. So now we have 4 super leveled reactors, all firing super dangerous particles at each other, which is earning us trillions upon trillions. Aw, but the uranium's out of stock now. I was gonna load up so many more reactors with uranium. Instead, there's just this first one that is about to start shooting. Oh yes, that is the color I'm looking for. It's so pretty, I just want to stare at it. Surely this will have no long-term consequences. But also look at how much that's affecting the money rate. So in no time at all, we get up to $1 quadrillion. Yes. Ooh, which isn't up to upgrade the fire rate once more. But I like the way this reactor looks right here as is, so probably gonna be the one that goes in the thumbnail. But that doesn't mean that we can't upgrade this one, which, whoa, hold on, I just got a lot more simplistic. So it's a good thing we didn't upgrade that first one. But this is actually maxed out. But also the shop restocked and even more uranium is available. So we can start to get all of these firing uranium, especially as this one just went cold. And look at how quickly that's shooting too, 6.5 per second. Oh, I feel like I'm a fool to not upgrade this. And all of them can get there. 1 quadrillion, easy. And now all of them are shooting uranium. So we are actually earning quadrillions at a decent pace. But this is still 500 quadrillion here, so we might not see the last level of this reactor without rebirthing, and that's just gonna hurt. And sadly, no plutonium in stock either, which the curium costs 3.5 quintillion, and we are still very far away from that. Ooh, but just a quick restock and it's in, but for 18 quadrillion. We're slowly getting there. Oh, but we can upgrade the save fuel too for 10 quadrillion. I feel like we should buy the fuel first, but man, we do not earn quadrillions quick enough. And of course when it restocks, the plutonium goes away, but also I think some of the reactors went cold because the money stopped flowing. Sure enough, they did. A lot of them did. All of them did. We are going through uranium so quick at 6.5 shots per second, but also that's all the uranium in stock. So now we're in the period of it's questionable if we can progress or not. But I mean, we are still earning quadrillions at a pretty decent pace. Plus we can upgrade this one to save fuel more, which just makes it, you know, flat, and honestly, it's starting to look slightly boring. So I think the step before this looked a little bit better. Well, we can still upgrade what we can. So with that, I think we can just load up everything we have on uranium. And with that, I'd say we have done pretty good. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Subscribe for more so you don't miss it, and we'll see you in the next one.